Hello, all my crafty people out there. I have a nice little, we're going to go with quick project, but we all know how that goes with me, so we're saying quick. But we made a shawl during the summer months that was more kind of summery, made out of a scarf, a big scarf. And I found this at the American Thrift. It's a beautiful scarf. It's very, very soft. I don't think it's wool. I'm not even sure if it's a natural fiber. What I did is I took a chance since it was only, what is it, $3.59? That's how much I paid for it. I went ahead and threw it in the wash and in the dryer. And it came out beautifully, so it didn't lose its shape, its size, or anything like that. And it measures almost a perfect square. It's like 54 by 55 inches. I don't know why the oddity. But what I thought we would do is we would make a shawl out of it. And I've made one of these before with a different type of scarf. But this one's going to be different than the last one we made. I think what we're going to do first, I'm going to get y'all the measurements, and I'm going to show them to you before on my sketch pad before we start. And then what I'm going to use, I'm going to make armholes in this scarf. And that's really the only sewing or cutting we're going to do is putting armholes in this. But I kept thinking, I've seen people take the armholes and fray them so they, because this is an even weave and it would probably only fray so far. And then stop and just kind of get fuzzy, which would be cool, But I like a finished look on my armholes, so I found that I still had this bias tape. Now, I don't know what size bias tape this is. I mean, it's an inch wide. So it's an inch wide, but it's got these two folds already pressed into it. So what I thought we would do, and I'm going to show you as we go, obviously, is I would put this over the armhole, sew around the edges, and it'll actually be like this. Sew around the edges, cut down the middle, and then turn it inside out and sew around it to complete the armhole. And of course, we'll have to fold over the ends down here to make the ends. It doesn't sound clear yet. I'm sorry. It's one of those things where we make it as we go, but I do have a plan. I think I always have a plan, but hey, we're going with it. I will be back. I just wanted to give y'all kind of a brief synopsis of what we're going to do with this pretty scarf. And I'll be back. I'm going to bring in a drawing of my plan. Okay, I drew a rough draft of it. Essentially, what we've got here is we've got a rectangle, barely. Like I said, it's a 54 by 55. It's more like a square. But we're going to measure 20 inches in from the edge of the longest side. This is the longest side. 20 inches in, and we're going to cut a slit here. We're going to measure 15 inches between the two slits and slit here. So this is 20 inches, 15, 20. And we're putting these two slits, and we're making these slits, I believe they're going to be about 10 to 12 inches long. I didn't put that measurement on there. Is that easy to understand? Anyway, I've got the rough draft of the measurements, and I've done one like this before, so I think I can do it. The tricky part is deciding which one is 55 inches and which one is 54 inches. And to be perfectly honest, does it really matter? No. And the pattern on this is, it's a square as well. Okay, so the 55-inch side is this one. So this is the 54-inch. So we're going to fold it in half. Actually, yeah. Let's fold it in half like this. So we're meeting the two short ends, if they could be called that. And when we meet those, we'll fold it in half. This will give us the ability to figure out 10 inches from the top and also 15 inches between the two arm slits. So I'm going to fold this fabric down the table like this so it's a little easier for you to see. So we've got it folded in half, with this being the long side doubled over. Our ends are meeting really well. And we're going to measure 10 inches down. It's kind of hard to see. So this is about 10 inches down. We're going to put a mark here. All right. And we're going to measure about, actually I'm going to measure 10 inches down over here too. Just so we're going to just follow that line. That's a really great thing about this plaid. All right, good, good, good. So now we're going to measure, since we're putting 15 inches between the shoulders, and this fold is our shoulder, is the back of our shawl, I'm going to measure 7.5 inches in from the edge, from the fold. We're going to be about here. So we'll measure it again down here from the fold, 7.5 inches. And what that's going to do is that's going to give us what we need for a armhole. And I think we decided, or I think I've decided, that I'm going to make the armhole about 12 inches long. I know that sounds long, but this is supposed to be kind of a flowy look. And I think that, yeah, that is really long. Maybe I'll do it 11 inches. I know that sounds like I'm splitting hairs, but I think that'll work for me. So I'm going to do it 11 inches long. So it's 11 inches from this point where we decided we needed 10 inches at the top. And there is one side at least. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just make sure I carefully fold it over so we keep our same fold. And again, I'm going to come down 10 inches from the top, and it comes up right here at this little line. Actually, we don't even need to worry about that. We just know we're starting at this blue line. We're going to go in 7.5 right here, and in 7.5 down here. And then we can draw our 11-inch line between those 2 points. So essentially what we've done is we've drawn the 2 armholes, which again is the only sewing and cutting we're going to be doing. So now if I open it up, you'll be able to see our 2 armholes. Looking pretty even there, and there should be about 15 inches between the 2 of them. Spot on, 15 inches between the 2 of them. Okay. Now, the trick to this is going to be whether or not this sews well. It is very light and soft, so I am curious if it's going to sew well, but we're going to find out together, just like we do everything. And this does not have a wrong and right side. The weave is consistent on both sides, so that's not an issue. And when we put our bias tape down, we want to put it with the folds up. And the reason being, when we put it down and we sew around it and we cut down the middle like we would a buttonhole, we're going to fold those pieces into the inside or the other side and then sew around to secure it. So we're just going to eyeball what we need. Well, we know we need 11 inches, and then we need some extra for the ends to be folded over. So we'll just we'll just do 12 inches. And that should do more than enough. And go ahead and cut it. Now you could sew it on without cutting it. It doesn't really matter. I'm just pre-cutting it to make it easier to work with. A lot of times I do work with bias tape right off the spool. And what I'm going to do before we start sewing is I'm going to pop the iron out and iron these down nice and flat. And then you and I will get back together when I'm over at the machine and we're ready to sew these on. Because all I'm going to do after I iron them is I'm just going to pin them directly over these lines. And this is not, as always, rule of thumb with us, with me, is not perfection. But I know that that's covering that line from both ends and got plenty of room to fold over. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to pin it, take it over to the machine and sew it. Sorry for the crazy voice, change of weather, change of voice, you know, fun. Okay, I tried a new angle. Not sure if we're going to put it in the video. It's kind of weird. I'm wearing one of those little neck things to try and make the close-up shot. We'll see. I might include some of it so you can laugh at me. Oh, okay. I'm going to mark this down here at the bottom just to kind of... I'm going to just press it there. That way I'll know where I need to stop. That was the problem with the last one. I wasn't sure where I needed to stop without looking up underneath there. So anyway, once again, we're going to start right here, right on that line. Takes me a few shots to get the needle just right. And I'm sewing right inside the bias tape, right on the side of that fold without catching that fold, so that I'll be able to turn it inside when we clip the center. I'm not really sure why I want to do it this way. I think it would fray just fine. But if I can make it, you know, more interesting, or at least a new challenge, I've never done it. So I'm just going to come down here to this little fold, take the pin out before I hit it. I think that's it. Pick our foot up, do our turn. Go across, pick our foot up, and go back down, just like a buttonhole. Okay. Across, go down a little bit just to lock our stitches in, and there we go. So now we have that piece, and I didn't catch the flaps, the folds, but we do have the center here that we're going to cut with scissors right down the center, and then we're going to fold these in, and we're going to hope that this works. We'll see. So let's take the first one, and actually it doesn't matter which one we take. Just don't want to catch anything from the other side. So I'm going to take my, let's see if these scissors will do it. I'm going to pinch up a piece, cut down there, and all I'm doing is cutting down the center of that stitching. And then when I get to this corner here, I'm going to clip it at an angle like that. Can you see? Clipped it at an angle. So I can, so it'll be a little easier to turn. So again, we're going to go down. Where this is the other end, we're just finishing. And then we're going to clip and clip. Just kind of give it a little corner there. And let's do the other one. Let's pinch it up. Make sure we don't pinch anything extra under there. Yeah. Okay. And we're going to clip. I'm trying to show you the angle. See, there's something. Just making sure that's all I'm clipping. And then when we get down here to the end, I'll give you as good a view as I can of this. I'm going to clip up, oh, put my scissors under there. And then I'm clipping an angle, and I'm clipping the other angle like that. And then again, I'm going to go down here to the bottom, keeping my hand underneath the fabric, and clip the corner. Clip it like that and like that. This one's not as wide, but I'm still going to give it a little. All right, here's where we cross our fingers. All right, now we're going to take our binding and we're going to turn it inside out like this. And now we have an edge that will go on the inside or the outside. Honestly, I think it wouldn't matter because it's going to be a nice little finished edge of our, and that's how the corner is going to work. So we will pin this back like this. And we'll pin this corner down here, and we'll also pin under that edge. So we're just going to make the square around it. Does that make sense? So when we turn it, it looks like this. Does that help? So we're just turning it to the inside, and we're going to stitch that down with a nice top stitch. And down at the bottom, we're folding the edge so it catches under there. Although bias tape doesn't really ravel that bad, it wouldn't be an issue if you didn't fold it, but it'll just give it a cleaner look. And then we will have our armholes done. Now, I'm going to take my little sleeve off here. And let's see. Again, I hope you can see this. I am turning it from the other side to the inside and pinning it down And then when I get to the corner, the top, what I'm doing is I'm folding it in like this, and folding it in, all of it in, so it comes in like this. It makes kind of like a little squared off bottom. And then we're just going to fold the top under a little bit, maybe about 1/4 of an inch. And that will give us the little hem at the bottom. And we turn this end like this. So, like that. And turn the other side in like that. And that will give us a finished armhole that won't have any danger of fraying. And we're going to go down, we'll stitch around the edge of this binding that's already folded and create the rest of it. So I'm going to start stitching on that, and then you and I will go back to the table once I've stitched around here. And the tricky part will be how I stitch it. And I'm going to have to get the shawl onto the machine so I can stitch it flat. And I'm going to start on the edge of one of the sides closest to one of the ends, and move my needle back to my center point, and just make sure we catch everything. And catch it up here. Get my pin out. Turn my corner. Make sure my little folded under end stays folded under. There we go. Kind of finagle it. Pick up our foot. And then we're going to go all the way down the other side to the other corner. And again, I will see you back at the table because I am sure you do not want to see all of this craziness. But just for visual, I'm going to pick y'all up a minute. You see how I'm kind of going up and down the sides? Okay. All right. I'll see y'all back at the table. Alright, that was a little complicated to show you how I was doing it, but if we look from what will be, quote, the right side of the shawl, you can see our armholes are lined, and if you look from the inside of the shawl, you can see how they're lined. So we were able to sew on the binding right sides together. In other words, the fold showed up on the other side. We laid it flat on the line that we wanted to make the armhole. Then we sewed the center of that binding kind of like an armhole, not an armhole, I mean a buttonhole. And then we cut down the middle of it like a buttonhole. And then we took the folds and we turned them to the other side and seamed them down. Now, does it look super pretty? No. Could I have used darker bias? Probably, but I didn't have any this size in any other color. But again, this is going to be the inside, so you're not going to see that. You're just going to see these armholes. So I'm going to go try it on, and we'll see how it turned out. Okay, this is what it turned out like. I am very happy with it. Essentially, we put 2 armholes 10 inches down from the top to give it this nice flouncy kind of collar. And it folds really nice. It kind of has a ripple. I like that. This is the back. Super excited. Anyway, I think it turned out great. It's an easy thing to do, and you can pick up these scarves this size all day long at your local thrift stores. It's one of the things people get rid of the most because they don't know what to do with them. Well, this is what you do with them. You cut a couple of holes in them and wear them as a vest / shawl, whatever. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. It was super short, and it's a super easy project, but please comment. Let me know how you feel about it. Let me know if you've got some ideas. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I really appreciate all y'all's support. So y'all have a great one, and I will see you on the flip side of our next project.